In my mind, worlds collide. Something inside me is gone. Still I keep going on.
Hey, what is up guys, this is Awesome here. Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be reviewing the Hiya Toys Godzilla Millennium, Godzilla 1999, Godzilla 2000. We have the figure right here. I got this from Cash Toys, and now we're finally going to be reviewing it. I'm super stoked to be here with you guys. Leave a comment down below. I like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. I'm trying something new here. I'm trying really hard to get lighting good here. I have a light here and I have a light over here. I'm really trying to get lighting, really good lighting here, and struggling really hard to do so. I'm using actually I'm not even gonna say what I'm using for this light over here because I don't know. But anyway, let's get on with the review here. And keep in mind, I'm not really a Steven Toy reviews. I don't know how to get in depth with everything here. So if you want probably more informed opinion and more close-ups of the figure, you might want to go check out some of the content creators I have linked down below, just in case if you're not satisfied here. This is just kind of my thoughts on the figure, and give you my personal recommendation whether this is worth picking up or not, because there seems to be a lot of discussion between the Hiya Toys Godzilla 2000 and then the SH Monster. It's Godzilla 2000 from Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. So I will be giving my opinion on the figure, going from articulation, sculpt and detail, paint, accuracy to what is on screen. I am personally a stickler for accuracy. Let's try to get, I don't really care if the design of the monster inhibits articulation and functionality of a figure. I just want something that is accurate to the source material, so that way I have something that represents some of my favorite monsters, like something that sits on my desk, and I can look at it and be like, yep, that's one of my favorite Godzilla designs in 7-inch figure form. But anyway, that's a discussion for another day, because I know people are like, well, get the X Plus figures, and like, X Plus is cool. I've had X Plus before, but for me personally, like, I like to be able to change, because X Plus is a statue pretty much. I like to change I like articulated figures. I like to change the pose and stuff. And I know Monster Arts is far better when it comes to articulation, and I think Hiya Toys will get there one day. We'll absolutely get there one day. So enough further ado, let's get on with this review. Starting with, let's talk about the accuracy, the sculpt and detail of the figure. And first of all, right, this is probably the best, and I'm going to see hands down the best articulated Godzilla Millennium figure on the market. Far none. When it comes to at least, accuracy to what we see with the suit and the sculpt and the detail, it's just out of this world. Like here, we'll zoom in here on the face. Get a nice look at that. That is something right out of Godzilla 2000. Now, you could probably argue and say that maybe his eyes are not as yellow as they are. His eyes are really yellow on the figure, and maybe they're not that yellow in the actual movie themselves. So, there are some areas you can probably nitpick and critique as well. Areas with his mouth open. We'll get to the tongue later. But I would say this is a very spitting image of Godzilla 2000. This is very much Godzilla 2000. You can see right there on the pupil. The pupil is reflecting some of the light right back at the camera, which is really cool. Recording this in 4K, so hopefully that's coming out well. It looks great on my camera, on my screen, but hopefully that looks good after compression and tutorial not tutorial, compression and uploading and exporting and all that fun stuff. So, in terms of accuracy, I would say, you know, look at this, and it's Godzilla 2000. Everything from the dorsal fins, the nice, beautiful crimson, I want to say crimson, yeah, very crimson, purple, pink dorsal fins, iconic from the movie. Just absolutely wow. This is Godzilla 2000. So this is like a 10 out of 10 when it comes to the screen accuracy department for me. In terms of sculpt and detail, Hiya Toys, you know, for a $60 figure, I think we're moving away from the $50 price margin, and we're going to like the $60 and probably going up in the future. But in terms of detail, you can just see every scale. The detail is out of this world. I think the lighting is not helping it very much, though. Kind of turn that off real quick. You know, it looks way better in person than like what my light is actually probably casting here. Kind of play with the lighting a little bit so you guys can see just how ferocious this figure is. I think the sculpt, the accuracy, and the detail is just tremendous. You know, that is coming from someone who doesn't own the Monster Arts version and probably not going to own the Monster Arts version at all. So, sorry to say, you know, I can't collect all the Monster Arts in the world, and Monster Arts isn't offering what I'm looking for in an action figure anymore. So, that'd be for somebody else that's not me, because I'm not able to compare the two figures together. I will say this, when I know of Monster Arts, maybe when it comes to the detail department, they might score better than the Hiya Toys. But what we get here is really phenomenal when it comes to the accuracy, sculpt, and the detail. This is sculpt, it's Godzilla 2000. Detail, it's Godzilla 2000 for sure. See, I love making YouTube videos. It's really hard for me to review a figure. I look at this figure and I'm like, I love it. I absolutely love it. There's some parts of me left to be desired, and that maybe that comes to the articulation, because once more again, it's hard to not bring up Monster Arts, but Monster Arts does exceed in the articulation department. And Hiya Toys, they offer great articulation, far better than probably NECA could when it comes to their Godzilla figures. So why don't we just stop beating around the bush and get to the actual articulation itself with this figure. So obviously, when it comes to the head, you can move, I would say about a full 360. Yep, full 360. Full 360. You can look really far that way. You can look really far that way. You can look probably that far up like that. You know, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Probably the suit can only probably look up that far, so it is convincing. So if they do come out with a UFO accessory, or if you have a UFO, you could absolutely have him looking up at the UFO. And let's get to the jaw here. It is kind of tricky because these teeth are actually, well, let me just adjust the camera here. And then we get a little bit of a dramatic zoom in. All right. Yeah, so these teeth prevent my thumb from actually sliding in sometimes. And this is the tongue. So the problem with Hiya Toys sometimes is their tongue just gets stuck to the roof of the mouth. And that can be really annoying to get your finger underneath. Look at that. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Oh, hell yeah. We gotta talk about paint next, after the articulation. So I just closed his mouth. But yeah, you can open his jaw probably about that far. That's when I start getting huge resistance. And then his tongue, obviously, from what we saw here. If I can get it in there. Well, you saw the tongue. The tongue can come down. I just cannot seem to grab it at this moment in time. That's probably the really most annoying thing about Hiya Toys, is the tongues. I've had a problem with every single Godzilla's tongue, even Ghidorah's tongue recently from the unboxing video. That's just like the way it is. and so on and so forth. So we saw the neck. You can probably turn the neck a full 360. Oop. Yeah, you can turn the neck a full 360. Put that back. So we have... So that, like, you know, lets you get in all sorts of crazy poses. Of course, now that I did that, it's a little loose now. I woke up the ball joint. I am reviewing these kind of raw. I don't really put my figures through surgery. I don't like go in there with a tool and free the ball joints up. This is kind of raw out of package. At most, what I do is heat them up with a blow dryer, kind of loosen everything up. But it's kind of the poses you can get with Godzilla with the neck here. You get him in a really kind of like kind of pose, and then of course the chest, the upper torso. I think you can get this a full. I would say not a full 360 on that. I get resistance right here. It's rubbing against the lower section of Godzilla here. So you can get him like that if you want to. There's that. Turn them the other way, the exact same. Oh, I can almost... So this side's actually a bit more freeing in that regard. And his hand popped off. Another thing about Hiya toys that can be kind of annoying is that I notice with any figure is that a lot of stuff starts to pop off. Like Kong's, my Monsterverse Kong, his foot actually popped off today because I was messing with it. So we saw the app crunch. So if you need to see, so he can look far down like this. This is how far down. Let me move his hand out of the way. This is probably how far down he can look. So when you angle his torso as far as it can go and his neck, you can have him look down pretty far. Not as probably far as maybe some people want to, but also again, I don't think this design in the movie really looked down too far, or had any reason to look down really far as it is. So there's that. Kind of popping back into place. Elbow. I kind of... You can hear... So you can kind of get him in a Super Godzilla pose right here. Not Super Godzilla. A overcharged Godzilla pose from GXK. Oh, you can get those pretty far back too. And popped off. No problem. Just pop it back in. There is an elbow pop right here, so you can have him lift weights. Like he's doing curls with the ab crunch here, as you can see. I am being a little rough with it. You can hear it. You can hear the plastic, start making noises as I'm fiddling with it. But I think that's it. God damn it. For the arms. If I may get him back. So you can kind of get him in a karate move here. Now the legs. So Monster Arts, I think in all their figures, you're able to kind of get them in and out like that. I am not able to do that here. That is as much as I can get. You can almost spin it in a 360 motion. I can get about that far before I get resistance, and you can kick it back about this far the other way as well. We do have a knee bend, or it's a kind of a shin rock motion here. Yeah, kind of like that. I thought this knee bent. I guess not. I guess it's fixed in that position. So that's unfortunate, but he twists his ankle about that much. Now, finally, the tail. The tail is probably the most flexible tail in all of Hiya toys. See that? You see what I can do with this? Wow. That is crazy. And it holds its pose. Holds it. Holds it. Holds it. Holds it. Of course, you can stretch it out about that far. Like that. Now, before I end the articulation, the one thing I want to see is, can you get Godzilla 2000 in a swimming pose? Fuck me. I think we need better handball joints in the future, Hiya. So let's see. Oh my god. You absolutely can. You can get him in a swimming pose. I don't know if he had his arms tucked back like that in the movie. He might have had him like this. No, they're going to pop off. Stop it. I remember in the movie, I think he had him like this in that one CGI scene where he's kind of like this. But you absolutely can get him in a swimming pose. I would say a very damn convincing swimming pose, too. See that? Oops. There he is, in a swimming pose. Absolutely gorgeous. Alright, now finally we'll move on to paint, and then we'll go on to, I guess, the verdict of this video. So, I think we'll do a slight zoom in here. I might have to actually adjust the tripod one more time, just so we can get a proper zoom in of Mr. Goji's face. And maybe I might turn this off. Nope, that is a bad idea. Bad idea. Let's turn that off. So right away, obviously Godzilla, he's got the very gray, kind of greenish skin going on. Or I'm not sure where that came from, where people think Godzilla's gray, and he's mostly just charcoal gray. But we got that beautiful charcoal gray color that we know Godzilla to have, and it's beautifully contrasted or complemented with the beautiful yellow eye. And if you look really closely at the yellow eye, I know you can probably see this, but the pupil has an orange ring around his pupil, his black pupil, and it brings everything together. You can see so much personality in this figure's face just from the eyes alone. The eyes complement the gray skin complement the beautiful yellow eyes, the orange ring around his pupil, which could be just his eye color, I guess. We'll look at the other side here. Absolutely phenomenal. Beautiful. And we'll take a look at the teeth here, which, I'm kind of in pain because I want to look at the tongue, but I know the tongue's going to be, it has opinions on whether it wants to be seen or not. I just cannot seem to get the tongue. But the teeth, they're not just, I'd say they're pretty goodly painted. I think a lot of Godzilla figures in the articulation department struggle with teeth paint, where they look really good in person. I'm looking at them in person and they look absolutely great. On camera, they look kind of yucky. I think they're supposed to, for the most part. They got the very chrome, the bone white color, which is not perfectly bone white, but you got the teeth kind of almost, it's a dirty white color. Then you got the very nasty yellow or gold, I'm not sure what you would call that, but there is different paint apps in the teeth. And of course, his very reddish, fleshy inside of his mouth with his very red tongue that I just can't seem to get, and it's pissing me off because I want the tongue. I want his tongue. Thank you so much. Thank you. So there he is. there is his tongue, which his tongue actually, I'm happy because it actually does have texture inside, which is really, really cool. Nice little attention to detail there, right? Glad I was able to get the tongue down. So it's on a hinge, as you can see there. So, love the paint. That's the head. That charcoal gray color does continue throughout the rest of his body until you get to his claws, which it does. Well, since I popped it off, might as well just show it off like this. You know, same with the teeth. It's not a perfect bone white. There's contrast within the claws, which gives them a lot of unique little colors. There's even green at the base of his finger there. Not sure that's supposed to be a thing, but that is a thing on my figure. And if that's supposed to be attention to detail, then that's really cool. And if not, that's a really weird factory fuck up there. But moving away from that, I do like his claws. We'll get to his toes. I think his toes might be my favorite when it comes to like paint. So we get the other hand there. As you can see, same consistency, not perfectly bone white, a little dirty, a little bit of weathering, a little bit of history on Mr. Godzilla's claws. And then you get to the feet, the toe claws. And these are perfect. I love what they did with these. These are absolutely like, these remind me of, you know, eagle's talons, you know, or most bird talons, birds of prey talons here. Amazing color. And it's like a very chrome on his toenails, his toe claws. Absolutely beautiful. And we cannot ignore the beautiful paint detail in his dorsal fins. This is what makes Godzilla 2000 iconic right here. This was gone. I'm not sure this design would be as iconic. I mean, he's got an iconic head sculpt, but his dorsal fins on this design is what make this Godzilla so freaking iconic. As Michael Dougherty said for Monster vs. Godzilla, and this basically applies to all Godzillas, his dorsal fins is his crown. And that is absolutely beautifully said, Mr. Dougherty. Love it. I love the red, a little bit of red in here, the pink, the purple. It just blends all together. And of course, you got the charcoal gray kind of spreading through the center of the dorsal fins. It's like the tips. Instead of like, you know, the bone white that we are used to seeing, the frosted white tips, the bone white tips, whatever you want to say, we get these amazing like crimson dorsal fins instead. And that carries all the way through down the tail up until, say, about this dorsal fin right here. It's still there. You can still kind of see it prevalent in the design, but it kind of fades and like the charcoal gray takes over. And that's really it for paint. So moving straight on to whether or not this guy is worth picking up. So for me, I am very happy with this purchase. It comes with no accessories. It comes with maybe extra hands, which, you know, I put my box away in storage so they don't take up a lot of space. Kind of storage. It's my closet right here, but it's hard to get to right now. So it really depends on what you want, because if you're a Godzilla 2000 fan, like a die-hard Godzilla 2000 fan, you love both Millennium suits from both Godzilla 2000 and Godzilla vs. Mechaguirus, then I say buy it, because you are actually going to be in love with this figure. However, for someone who wants a really, really good action figure, you might be better off with the SH Monster Arts one, because that one, the articulation is going to be far superior to this one. And if that's what you're looking for, better articulation so you can actually have like a really good action figure, then that is what you're looking for there. I don't have the SH Monster Arts, like I said, once again, but from what I can see from my objective eyeballs, that is the case, is that Monster Arts, you know, the selling point of Monster Arts nowadays is they have far superior articulation when it comes versus the Hiya toys. So, but and once more, do you like what you see here? Do you like the attention to detail to the suit, to the original suit? Do you like how this is close to accurate as possible to the source material, and they didn't take too many liberties in altering the design to fit a better figure? One huge thing that I love about this figure that I'm only noticing now, and I don't think you guys can see it on camera. No, you can't. Only I can see this right now. I don't know how I can possibly even show you guys, but basically my lights are casting a shadow of the figure on my backdrop here. And there is an amazing, undoubtedly perfect silhouette of Godzilla 2000. It's straight out of a movie. It looks absolutely peak phenomenal. But anyway, so it really depends if this figure is worth it or not. It really depends on you as a person. Do you want more articulation? Yes. Do you have $130 and some change for shipping and handling? Then go get the Monster Arts. Go get the Monster Arts. If you're diehard Godzilla 2000 and you have the SH Monster Arts one and you have like $60, $70 to spend over, get the Hiya toys. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. There's a lot of check boxes for you whether or not this is a good purchase for you. And you know, I'm happy with my purchase, even though that is limited articulation and like that. You know, every time I do handle Hiya toys figures such as a Toho design like this, and I'm met with restrictions in the articulation, sometimes it can be a little frustrating because I wish this was more posable. But at the same time, I know a lot of people, they dismantle their figure, they take a tool, and then they free up the ball joints and it has amazing articulation. Or they dismantle the figure and they cover the ball joints in a thin layer of soap. You know, and I'm sure that if I take the time and effort to do that, I'm sure I can get much more articulation out of this guy. I'm reviewing this kind of out of the box. I've had this on my shelf for a week now, probably more, and I've only hair dried him. That's really about it. So what you're seeing here, in terms of his articulation, it probably isn't all this figure can do. It's just my unit here is more limited because I have only hair dried him. So that is a big disclaimer. So it really depends on you. For me, it checks all the boxes. It's accurate to the source material. I do have really good articulation on this figure. The price point, $50. You can't go wrong. Everything else is so great about this figure. For me, I recommend picking this up. Especially if you are a Millennium fan, Godzilla 2000 fan, you're a fan of the Meyer suit, go get it. That is my review, guys. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. That is my time, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And as always, stay awesome.
In my mind, worlds collide. Something inside me is gone. Still I keep going.